Joined at this table by Jamie Giellis, who is the latest entrant into a crowded race for Denver mayor. Thank you for your time. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Thanks
so
for
most
having
recently,
me.
you were running the Rhino Arts District. Your background is urban planning. What specifically about that background do you feel is missing in city leadership right now?
The ability to tackle things from the ground up and work with the community to craft solutions. I mean, essentially that. It's bottom up versus top down.
I have heard a variation of that same theme from every single person who is running against the incumbent Democratic Mayor Michael Hancock. And when I ask for specifics,
Sure.
I have a tough time understanding what the current issue is, other than just a generalized discontent with growth. What do you see the issue as?
So the growth issue really boils down to a quality of life issue on a micro scale. I mean, we all want a good quality of life in this city. And when you look at it from a neighborhood level, what neighbors and residents and so forth are feeling is that the growth is happening, and it's sort of this unbridled growth that's happening without the support services that are needed. That could be transit, that could be affordability, that could be design, that could be bike lanes and crosswalks. So I think the ability to actually take that from the ground up, work with neighborhoods, work with districts to say, what are the tools that are available to you? I'm working on Old South Pearl Street right now on a design overlay because they're losing their commercial core. Great, take this tool, we'll help you implement it. Right now, there's no access to city government, so I think people are feeling stressed by that.
How much of that do you think is dictated and decided by the mayor, or is he just the person running the machine with which you have issues?
I think all of it is dictated by the mayor.
How so?
The mayor sets the vision, the mayor sets the tone, and the mayor appoints all the leadership of the city.
What is the tone that you think has been set by Mayor Hancock?
The tone is we're gonna kind of shut the gates and focus on perhaps some of the bigger legacy projects, the bigger projects that he has really put a lot of his energy into. But I think that there's almost a protection going on there, a lack of opening up the doors and letting the public be a part of that process.
And to people who know that most recently you were working in the River North neighborhood and say, well, when you describe unbridled growth, boy, that sounds a lot like River North.
Totally.
What do you say to that?
We're at the epicenter of it. We are the microcosm of what's happening on a broader scale. What I would say to flip the script on that, I came into the picture on that in around 2013, 2014. The script was fairly written at that point. A rail station was going to come in. It was kind of the last undeveloped frontier. We were coming strong out of the recession, and we knew development was coming. The way we approached that was to say that development either goes completely without control, or we organize around it and do whatever we can to control that market, and that's what we've done. We've looked at zoning. We've quadrupled the affordability requirements around the rail station. We've put in a design overlay. We've required green stormwater infrastructure on all the public projects there. We're addressing it. We're addressing it head on and doing the best we can to protect the culture in a way that it is hard to do in a strong market.
Development, affordable housing, growth, one issue that the mayor deals with. The mayor has a lot more on his or her plate. What's another issue on which you have a clear difference of opinion with Mayor Hancock outside of development and growth?
Homelessness. I would say the homelessness issue is, especially looking at what happened Monday. I drove down and saw the sweeps happening again on Monday. And heartbreaking is one way to put it. I understand that that's an issue we have to address head on. But continuing to sweep the problem is never going to be the solution. And I know firsthand that the city leadership is simply not having the conversation. They refuse to have the conversation about how to thoughtfully address homelessness.
They would say that they're thoughtfully addressing homelessness in a number of ways, but one of the ways is to deal with immediate public safety problems,
Sure.
like sidewalks that are strewn with needles and human waste and that sort of thing. So if you're not going to do a sweep like we most recently saw on Monday, what do you do with a crisis point situation like that?
Well, number one, we are not really equipping. The DPD has 3 individuals who work on homeless support services for the entire city. We just approved a new budget that doesn't have any additional people in it. So I think you have to have people on the street, you have to have mental health support, you have to have resources that are actually engaging with those folks and getting to the places that they need to go. I think the other thing is there are tons of support services within our city, but nobody's coordinating all of them. Nobody's kind of bringing all of them to the table and saying, how are we going to most effectively and efficiently deliver services.
Here's a question out of right field. Do you support the idea of Denver going after the Olympics?
No.
Why not?
I think it is a it is a financial boondoggle in the waiting, and I also think that there are so many other issues this city needs to address right now as it's dealing with this growth that it's putting our attention on the wrong thing.
How do you assess the state of public safety in Denver? A lot has been made about some rising crime numbers. We've talked to criminologists who say you're dealing with such a small sample size, because Denver's a relatively safe city, that you can't draw any conclusions at this point. When you look at the numbers, what do you see?
Well, I think there is an increase in crime. I also know that there is, in certain circumstances, because of some of the things you already talked about, there's needles on the street and some of these issues happening. People's sense of safety is addressed, is a concern. I think that one thing I will say, the new chief seems to be doing a very good job of head-on addressing some of those. I mean, I think the way that he's handling, working with his team, doing the community policing model, we've had, in my experience working just in Rhino, some really direct experiences on how that is shifting how we actually police the streets.
Mayor Hancock has said that the #1 issue facing the city is affordable housing. What is one way in which your proposals and policies for affordable housing would differ from what they're currently doing?
Well, I have been directly working on getting some affordable projects done, and I can tell you that the issue is complex. Yes, we say it's an issue. Yes, we are allocating money to it. The money is not going out. The money is not being turned into built product. There are 4 key issues, really. We have to get it out of the Office of Economic Development. Housing needs to be a key focus. We need to be more flexible on our policies on how we're using that fund. The stringent nature in which we're doing it now is not allowing for flexibility in product. We need to work with partners. The Denver Urban Renewal Authority has a mandate to work on affordable housing. They've mostly been focused on infill projects. Let's get them involved. The tax credit issue. There's been a huge tax credit set aside for the Denver Housing Authority to do a significant number of units in Sun Valley. Great, but why are we putting all those units in one spot? And how can we get them out the door more quickly? It's incredibly complex. The answers are there, the opportunities are there. Again, it's back to leadership and how we're actually going to deploy that. 2
remaining questions. My guest recently was Lisa Calderon, who very active in the community. She's jumped into the mayor's race. She led very vocally with the idea that Denver needs its first female mayor. I've read everything that you've said since you got into the race yesterday, and I haven't heard you mention that. You, of course, also would be Denver's first female mayor. Why not stress that?
Denver needs a good mayor. Denver needs a visionary mayor, and I think Denver needs a mayor that has both the vision and the background on implementing that and tactically getting things done to do the job. At the end of the day, whoever the best person for the job is should be elected to that office.
Last question. Do you intend to make the mayor's personal conduct an issue in the campaign?
Look, I am not going to focus my energy on that because I think we have a lot of, bigger fish to fry, bigger issues to really focus on that the people out in the neighborhoods and community are really concerned about.
I asked Ms. Calderon when she was in if she thought that the mayor still had the moral authority to lead the city, and she said that he did not. What do you think about that question?
So I would say on behalf of the close to 350,000 women and girls that live in the city, no, but that's really up to the voters to decide.
All right, Jamie Giellis, thank you for stopping in. Look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you. Thanks very much.
Subscribe to the Next YouTube channel for the best of Next and some other stuff.